introduction is taken from the Senate Bill 3281 that was passed in 2009. The resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Hinds County, Mississippi to use $13 million of the loan authorized in Senate Bill 3281 passed in the regular session of the Mississippi Legislature in 2009 that authorized the Mississippi Development Authority to make loans to Hinds County, Mississippi for improvements to infrastructure related to and for construction of publicly owned facilities in the Old Capitol Green project, to give the Mississippi Development Authority certain powers and duties regarding any such loans, and to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds to provide funds to make the loans authorized by this act and related purposes. The first whereas is centered around the partners who selected Full Spectrum as master developer. The second one names Full Spectrum as the developer to guide and establish the development. We have completed a master plan as the third whereas. The fourth whereas is the City of Jackson and the master developer has established new zoning ordinance called Old Capitol Green Mixed Use District. Whereas this next one, whereas the property owners support the development and assisted in the rezoning. Whereas the Old Capitol Green District will create green, sustainable, energy-efficient area in downtown Jackson and Hinds County, Mississippi. Whereas Old Capitol Green will generate new green jobs, increase property values, and create a vibrant lifestyle for those seeking to live, work, and play in an urban setting. Whereas the area is in need of new infrastructure to support the Old Capitol Green development. Whereas the state of Mississippi approved Senate Bill 3281, approving a low-interest loan to Hinds County for the purpose of installing new infrastructure. Whereas the master developer intends to utilize new market tax credit structure in connection with financing of the Old Capitol Green project pursuant to a bridge loan will be used to make a loan to newly created entity, the leverage fund, which loan will be secured by the assets of the investment. The leverage fund will use the proceeds of the loan together with other funds to make an equity investment in community development entity, CDE. And third, the CDE will make loans to the master developer or affiliate that includes the county to finance the Old Capitol Green infrastructure improvement. Whereas the loan from the state to Hinds County can be used to make a loan to the investment fund to construct facilities in the development area. Whereas Full Spectrum has agreed to guarantee any shortfalls in any repayment of the loan through Hinds County to the state of Mississippi. Now therefore be it resolved that the Hinds County Board of Supervisors do hereby resolve to apply for and accept the loan from the Mississippi Development Authority to be used to construct the necessary parking garage and related infrastructure to support the Old Capitol Green development.
Thank you. I think your statement here, whereas Full Spectrum has agreed to guarantee any shortfalls in repayment of the loan through Hinds County to the state of Mississippi should address some of the concerns of a board member or whomever. So, Mr. President, I move that we approve the resolution as written.
Okay. It's been moved. Mr. Attorney, are you?
I would ask that it be approved pending a final review by the attorney. There's a question with respect to one of the paragraphs that I would want to get clarification on.
I'm sorry.
There's one paragraph that I would want to get clarification on, and it would be whereas, which begins on the first page and ends on the second. Just a better understanding of that paragraph. With this being my first time seeing it at the board meeting, I haven't had an opportunity to look into the details of that. But the one that begins, whereas the master developer intends to utilize new markets tax credit structure in connection with financing the Old Capitol Green project pursuant to that. And so just making sure that the county's commitments with respect to those three areas that are outlined. That's all. It may be nothing, but I just have not had an opportunity to review it.
Okay. And Mr. Wallace, that sounds
within the realm of what you were looking for?
And it doesn't sound like that there's any language in there that addresses future discussions and agreements, but, you know, I don't know if that's a legally binding document that binds you to 13 million, but if it is, that language where we would work out hammer out the agreement between Full Spectrum, the city, and the county is not in there. But like I said, I'm not the legal person here.
I don't believe this resolution binds the county or requires the county to take out the 13 million.
A resolution does not obligate or combine. It's an agreement to resolve specific issues. When it comes to binding, you would have to go into a contractual agreement.
Okay. So do you want a subject to,
Yes, Mr. President. I
Okay.
already-
So give the clerk the language so we can go ahead and move forward.
Request that the board approve the resolution naming using the title of the resolution pending the board attorney review.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's been moved. Do we have a second? A second. The move. A second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Now let's see. Go back to here. And we skip over. Who else do we have outside individuals? We're kind of flush. We're trying to get some of those worked out. Mr. Wallace, I think we can go to you and here. We can also deal with the second 34th item that I have. And the bond issue, I think you were supposed to be giving us the amount that was supposed to be injected. You were working with us.
And I gave those at the work session. I don't know if I have those with me.
And with your other items in here, we're going to go to all the other individuals that's outside. Can we get that out of the way?
Right. Are you talking about my agenda item?
Your agenda item, yes.
Okay, the Stewart City Irby Company, what we're referring to there, if you remember, we assisted Irby in doing a redevelopment of their property. As part of that project, the state is going to make available a grant to the county. It'll go through the county, to build a security fence around the Irby facilities where security is needed. The grant is going to be for a certain amount of money. So what we're asking you to do today, we're asking that in the event building of the security fencing surpasses the amount of money that the state is making available through a grant, that we will accept funds from Stewart C. Irby to finalize payment of the fence. So basically, if it goes over what the grant is, Irby has to pay the difference, and we just want to be able to accept that money to pay for that fencing.
Okay. Ready to do it?
So moved.
Second. It's moved, proper second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Now, we passed those resolutions to be sent to be sent to the legislature regarding funding. Campbell had a different thing on that. So what we were trying to do is, at the point that we just started discussing that, if you can remember, we were trying to figure out the amount that we would be asking the legislature for. I guess I'm going to let Ms. Kelly, because she mentioned the fact in the last week, no, it was in the work session, that she was more interested in applying for a grant. I'm not sure that that's what we ought to be asking, but if that's what we want, you ought to be willing to do that. But what you was working on was
What we did was
not for a grant, but for it to be a state bond is what we was really working on initially.
Yeah, what we were doing as far as, Ms. Calhoun, what you had asked us to do was come up with some scenarios of the cost. At one point, we were talking about the two segments at each end, and we didn't know exactly what those were going to cost to complete. So we had those numbers, but in addition to that, we went ahead and had several different scenarios on how much money it would take to complete these segments. And I think those are the numbers, regardless of whether you were going to ask for a bond or whatever. Those were the numbers that you needed to insert into the legislation. If I'm not correct, you let me know. So what we did is we had the engineers come up with some scenarios that range from, you having excess funds in the amount of $22 million if all you did was complete the amount of right-of-way purchase, all the way up to needing $60 million if you built out the entire corridor. So those, the sheets that we presented you at the work session had a number of options on there, and they ran the gamut of what I just said. So any of those numbers can be plugged into your request, depending on how you want to phrase the resolution and the request for funds. And we can resubmit that. Like I said, the maximum amount you would need to complete the corridor would be $60 million.
We passed the resolution, it's just the amount,
Right.
It's just the amount that is supposed to be.
We were just requesting that they assist us with our financial package. Initially, we had requested $50 million. Again, this board has several options that have been provided to us. And we have not, as of today, selected one of those or approved one of those options that has been made available to us. I would like to suggest that we hold off forwarding that resolution because our legislators have not gone into session yet. So we hold off, select an option, which option we would like to work with, whether it's option A, B, or C. Once we select an option, then we move forward with, again, making a request to our state legislature. I will place an item on the agenda for our first meeting in January, listing all of those options so that the board can vote on one of them.
Okay then. Thank you then. We will pick that up on next week.
That first meeting is June 9th.
The
First meeting is the third.
David, I was going to let you, rather than deal with in-house stuff, I'll let you go ahead and get the outside individuals, if you will.
Yes, sir.
Let me just mention, I'm sorry, one other thing. Mr. Wallace, we don't need the legislature to authorize us to issue a bond. We have that authority to issue.
They issue the bond.
To issue the amount of our bond that we want. So they don't need that authority.
Okay.
Yes, so thank you, Mr. President. We do have Mr. Dan Gibson here with several items for your consideration.
Okay.
Oh, right here.
Ms. Porter and I were actually actually looking at a picture of my choir. I have to admit. We don't get to visit much, and we have over the years become pretty good friends.
Are you saying that two of y'all want to do some more singing?
I was telling her it seems like this weekend we have just sung everywhere, and it's been a beautiful weekend of Christmas music. I have recently been given the blessing of being the interim choir director at my church, and we had our cantata yesterday, and we have the largest choir now that we've ever had. And I'm just blessed to be there at the right time. But I'm a little tired today, I will admit. We have before you the first item on the agenda this morning is the drug policy that we every year renew for Hinds County. And this is an important policy because as a drug-free workplace, it entitles the county to a 5% discount on its workers' comp insurance. And so I need your approval this morning of the ongoing drug-free workplace policy for Hinds County.
And in the past, we've not done terrorism.
We are not, I'm sorry, Supervisor Fisher, we aren't discussing this item just yet. We're discussing the item that's on your agenda with regard to the drug-free workplace policy.
Let's take a vote.
So,
If we move up, second discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion carries.
All right, thank you. The next item for your consideration is the proposal summary that I just handed to you. For several years, we have been insured with JWF Specialty Company, National Fire Insurance of Hartford, on the liability for the Juvenile Justice Center, the Henley Young Center. This policy, just 5 years ago, used to be at $50,000. We have worked very hard over the years to get that premium down below $30,000. And we were very disappointed just a few days ago that the company was trying to give us a 10% increase. We were able to negotiate that with them, however, based on the excellent loss ratio that we had. And they were willing to offer at the last minute, this was Friday, flat renewal. And so the renewal offer that we are presenting today is unchanged from last year, $28,985. And this includes this includes an option of terrorism. However, Supervisor Fisher, in the past, we have not had that terrorism coverage on this policy.
Let's take a vote.
I move for approval without the terrorism option.
second.
If we move up, second discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion carries.
Very good.
And the last item is to appoint the agent. And in the past, Ms. Gail Porter, who is here today, she has been the agent, the Porter Agency, and that is up to you, of course, to make that appointment.
Take a vote.
So moved.
Table. Move up, second discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
And let me say also, Mr. Smith, I enjoyed Friday, and it was a wonderful salute to you. I was talking to someone in my church just last night who is one of your constituents and is very sad that you were leaving and remembers when you were elected.
Oh, okay.
She has a good memory.
She does.
I want to say also Merry Christmas.
1889.
It is the season of giving. As you pointed out last meeting, Ms. Calhoun, and you have given me a wonderful blessing, that is to be able to serve you and the citizens of Hinds County. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you. And your next outside.
Outside would be maybe Pete Luke from the Sheriff's Office.
We have here the bottom.
Well, yes. Yeah, let's go here.
Good morning, Mr. President, board members. First item I have this morning, requesting approval to
allow Colonel Ed Swinney to retain his duty weapon to be purchased from the county upon his retirement.
Move. Second. Second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion is carried.
I've had some requests from employees requesting to keep their weapon as they are terminated or as they leave the department. I don't know what the county's policy is on that, or even if we can do that, if they're not retiring. These are questions that we would probably need to get the board attorney to give us some guidance on, maybe at the next meeting. No action taken on that. The third item I have is to have the board to consider having an audit conducted for outgoing Sheriff Malcolm McMillan. We just recently were audited up through September. That would have been last week. I think they finished up with that. And then we're asking from September through the end of the year. I don't know what's customary. I've never been here through one of these changeovers, but I know that there should be some accountability, and the Sheriff McMillan would be.
Don't we just authorize an audit?
We authorized an audit that Sheriff-elect Tyrone Lewis had requested that's coming in. Would that suffice? Basically, I think it'd be, are you looking to audit September to January, or are you looking for kind of a closing audit?
Well, I would say an exit audit.
I think that Sheriff-elect Lewis was just here a minute ago. I don't know if that's going to serve a purpose or not. I think that two auditors here bumping heads and do it with one audit. But I don't know. I'm not sure exactly if that's going to meet the need of what you're requesting. So let's be sure here.
Okay.
The question, Sheriff-elect Lewis, is the audit that you've requested. Sheriff McMillan is requesting an audit also, and yours was kind of a beginning of term. His is an end of term. And would those audits serve? Is there a need to have two different auditors in there? Or is it just one audit would serve the function?
First of all, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I stepped out, but no, I'm clear on what you're talking about now. In my opinion, I don't think so. I think the audit that we requested will serve the purpose of both individuals.
Maybe if we, because we're going to be here for a little while longer, maybe Luke, y'all can go out and talk a little bit about it, make sure that everybody's comfortable with that, and then we can, move on and know what to do what's best. So I want everybody to know it was an audit was done, it was a good audit. Everybody's happy with the auditing. So versus us shooting from the hip up here and hoping we're doing the right thing.
Right.
If the county then is maybe paying for it, even though you asked for it, whatever part that you're talking about can be injected into.
There just needs to be an independent audit opinion of the sheriff going out, the sheriff coming in. The sheriff going out, of course, wants a clean slate. The sheriff coming in wants to make sure that all the apples are there. So that's, we're just asking to request or this board to consider.
Is what's already been asked for and approved by the board is what Luke is asking for here. But I want to be sure, y'all can take a second maybe to talk about it, and then give us a thumbs up or down, and then we can move appropriately there, accordingly there.
Yes, sir.
That's my thought.
You want to hold this in the meeting and make sure so they can make sure that it suffices for both.
Right.
Okay.
We will discuss it. What firm will be doing the audit?
There has been some discussion about the firm of Tan, Brown, and Russ Company, PLLC, performing the audit. It's a company that has experience in doing these audits, and it's independent of the firm that's currently used by the county.
I know they've done the city of Clinton's audits for the last 20 years, it seems like, 10.
That same firm.
The same firm, and they've done an excellent job for the city, so I know that they're a no-nonsense bunch.
Okay.
We'll discuss it, leave that to the board. Thank you.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Ms. Davis, and we will get back to conclusions. I think we have one of those outside.
As far as the county administrator, that is the only
No,
outside.
we have Byron.
There are Mr. Lewis. If
Oh,
you'd like to see
okay,
Mr.
okay.
Lewis
Mr.
item,
Lewis.
that's fine.
I'll have him in.
Okay.
We'll get that. We're trying to get something. Yes, sir. Come right on, Mr. Lewis. Did AMR have anything on the agenda?
No, sir. We're just happy to be here.
Me too.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. I have several items to present to you today for your consideration. First is dealing with, excuse me, there was a E911 council meeting held on November 30th, and there were several requests that were made through the council, and the council did approve those requests. There was the city of Byron, city of Raymond, town of Utica, town of Terry, city of Clinton, the Hinds County Sheriff Department, and the city of Jackson. And basically explain the dilemma that the county is in as far as E911 funds. As you know, today the board approved interface loans from E911 funds up to somewhere near in the neighborhood of $1,700,000. My understanding, the current balance prior to that approval was right at $208 million in that fund. And if you would subtract the $1,700,000 from that $208 million, that will leave you somewhere in a balance of $330 and $350,000 in that fund.
You mean $2,080,000?
$2,008,000.
Okay.
Yeah, $2,008,000. And as I stated, that will leave you somewhere in the neighborhood of $330,000 to $350,000 in that neighborhood balance left in the E911 funds. The request today is totaling up to $587,000, which gives you an indication there's not sufficient funds in those E911 funds to cover these requests that are being made today, just to give you that information. The requests are basically the city of Byron, they're requesting $58,900 for radios. That's 5 mobiles and 5 portables. The council approved that due to the fact of the amount of employees and vehicles that the city of Byron Fire Department have. 3 personnel and 2 vehicles. The city of Raymond requested $9,000. The city of Utica, town of Utica, $1,800. The town of Terry, $65,900. And the city of Clinton, $7,590. And that basically rounds out to be $143,729 just for those municipalities. Other business at that meeting, there were requests coming from the city of Jackson and the Hinds County Sheriff Department. Hinds County Sheriff Department requested $9,646.
The City of Jackson requested $370,000, $450 for 100 radios. Also, $63,384 for computers, which made a total of $433,840 just for the City of Jackson alone. And basically, these are requests or recommendations coming from the E911 county.